Good afternoon. You're listening to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm your host, Jasmine Urbina, here in the studio with my dad, Alex Urbina, and today we are going to be talking about discovering your purpose. What does that even mean?
You know, quite often in my practice as a life coach, I'm helping people discover what it is that they want next. Like what's the next goal? And after chasing goals at a certain point, people start to realize that they want something more meaningful than just chasing goals. Like chasing goals isn't necessarily what their life is supposed to be about. And so they come to the conclusion that maybe there's something bigger than me. Maybe there's a bigger reason, a bigger purpose for me, and the main reason why I was born. And when you start to have those kinds of beliefs, when you start to have that kind of yearning, when you start to question that, is when you're ready to embark on the journey called discovering my purpose. And if you've ever discovered your purpose and you live a purpose-driven life, for me, it's the only life to live. Once you hit a certain pivotal point in your life, you've had a certain experience, then you try to measure everything up to that. It's kind of like, man, I've been to the mountaintop and I want to get to the next mountaintop. And so when you wake up every morning and realize that you're driven by your purpose, all of a sudden it seems like the universe supports you in almost every decision you make. It seems effortless. It seems like people want to support you. People are gathering around. People want to contribute. It just seems like you're getting some kind of magical force that's guiding you to manifest that purpose and actually achieve that, whatever that purpose is.
Yeah, I like how you said, at first people start off with goals. I feel like that's where I'm at right now in my journey. So, since I'm so young and I'm just starting out and trying to figure out what I want, I'm trying to take it step by step. So I find out which small goal I want to work towards and start working towards it. However, I want to rush through that process and just figure out what it is I'm supposed to do with my life. And I feel like ever since I was maybe 15, in high school, people were telling me, you have to go to college, you have to figure this out and that. And a lot of kids my age, or my age at that time, a lot of 15, 16-year-olds, they're trying to figure out everything at that moment because there's a lot of pressure from parents and teachers to go to college and make, these really life-altering decisions at such a young age. So we feel like we really have to figure it out. And I've realized that it's not going to come like that. You have to take those little steps, like those little goals. You're not just going to figure out your purpose at 15. You could, and that would be really great. However, I haven't found that very common in young kids.
Well, I think it's definitely a journey, and I kind of feel bad because ever since you guys were little, I've always told you guys that I want you to go out and discover your purpose. Like go follow whatever it is that you're passionate about. If it's about music, then go chase that music, purpose. If it's about acting, or if it's about being a pet, if you're a pet lover, maybe it's you're working with pets or whatever it is that excites you, go chase that road, go down that road. And one of the drawbacks of that is that I have kids that come to me all frustrated going, Dad, I don't know what my purpose is. And I'm like, but you're only 15 years old. You're not going to find your purpose at 15. I have clients that are in their 70s, 60s and 70s and still don't know what their purpose is. And so it's the journey that you get to embark on. And I want you to be aware of it, but I don't want you to have it be the burden. I don't want you to have it be something that you have to discover now, because you're not going to. You're going to discover it when it's time for you to discover it, and just know that it's going to happen along your journey, and you don't know when. But be eagerly excited to go down the road. That's what I want to have this discussion about today, and really talking about how to get you on that road. If you're on the road, then you're on the right road. Just stay on there. But some people aren't on the right road, and that's what I want to talk about today.
Okay, sounds great. So what kind of do you have a list of steps or advice or tips that will get us on that road?
I think first, you deciding what you're doing right now is not the road. I think that's the first step. For me, I did I had so many jobs, it's ridiculous. Like if we sat down and went over the couple hundred jobs that I've done.
Your resume?
Yeah. It was, but it's funny because every one of those jobs was telling me, this is not where you're supposed to be at. And I wasn't listening. I wasn't really sitting down and going, wait a minute, maybe I'm not supposed to be here. So I went through 100 or 200 different jobs to get to my purpose. That doesn't mean that you have to go through that many jobs. It just means that that was my journey. My journey was because I was hard-headed and kept thinking that success was about making a lot of money and doing something more specific about, that symbolized purpose for me. But once I got really clear about what purpose meant for me, purpose for me is about feeling fulfilled at the end of the day. Feeling like I'm being used for a bigger purpose, being a part of something bigger than me. For me, purpose is about being a contribution and being paid or compensated fairly or abundantly for it. That's me. That's the dream, is waking up every morning and going to whatever your work is, whatever it is that's your niche, or whatever it is that is your occupation. You're so excited you can't wait to get there. And when you're leaving, and when you're at the end of the night, you feel like you left it all in the field, and you feel so fulfilled. And it's not about the money, but it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not really, you're not doing it for the money, but it's nice to be, fairly or abundantly compensated for doing something that you feel it brings you so much joy. In the early years, as I started to really wrestle with embracing my purpose, I had a little bit of guilt because I felt really bad. I was like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. And then there's a whole stage of realizing that I'm worth it. And then you go through a worthy stage of going, no, you know what? I am worth it, because what I'm doing is making a difference, and I'm a little bit at a time changing the world. One, by changing myself, and two, helping other people change themselves, remembering who we are, that we're magnificent, powerful, loving, compassionate people, and then helping other people chase after their purpose.
It's great about hearing this story is I actually was talking to the receptionist here at KHTS, Margie Cummings, and
I love Margie.
I love Margie too. She was kind of telling me about, her brief history and, her little resume that was building up before she decided, what she really wanted to do and what her purpose was. And she dabbled in insurance a lot, and like car, auto insurance, and she just started working on health insurance, and it was just shy of what she was already doing, but she found out that this is really what she wanted to do. And she loves helping people and teaching people about, insurance can be confusing, and she loves when, people give her that feedback. Oh, thank you so much. This has, helped me a lot. And she was so close all her life. She was just in the wrong, almost, the wrong profession. She was in auto insurance instead of health insurance, and it was, really close. And just her right now talking about it, I could see it in her eyes just lighting up.
Absolutely. And it's that when you got that fire inside of you, that when you're sitting across from somebody and you're helping them understand something that they couldn't see before, it fills you up. It warms your soul. You're just like, you feel like you're making a difference, and you are. You're helping somebody see something they can't see before. And when you finally get to that one place, when you find your niche, it really fills your soul. And to know that, like I said, that you're getting compensated for that is a great feeling. And it really has you realize that you are worthy. That is your gift. And that's the reason why you were born, was to help people in some capacity. Usually purpose, majority of the time, from my experience, has to do with some kind of service, some kind of contribution. And you can really kind of customize that in any way you want. If you're a real estate agent, you're helping people find homes. If you're a gardener, you're, helping people use their time efficiently so that they don't have to be out there spending that kind of time. If you're a bricklayer, if you're building the home, you can look at, wow, these bricks that I'm putting together and orchestrating it, I'm putting them together with some solid structure so that if an earthquake happens or if some kind of disaster happens, I'm making this home safe for this family. I'm putting my seal of approval that it's safe enough to live in this home. You have to kind of learn how to take pride in what you're doing and realize that that's what your purpose is. Now, you asked earlier, how do you know, or how do you get started? I think the first step is look at what you're doing right now and take a deep, honest account and ask yourself, is this my purpose or not? And if you don't know, if you can't undeniably answer yes, it is, and know it with all your heart, then maybe there's a possibility that it's not. And that could be the first wake-up call for you. For me, I went from job to job to job questioning, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, how did I get to this age and I'm still doing this? Or how am I, 24 and I'm doing this? How am I 30 and I'm still... So it's in that struggle that you start to really kind of question yourself, and that inner voice, that intuition is telling you, is reminding you, like, it's not. Why are you still here? We've come upon this the last 3 or 4 or 10 years, and this is not where you're supposed to be. Why do you keep choosing it? Then you have to really take a deep, honest look and answer some of those questions. Well, I'm here probably because out of fear. I'm here because it's something that I'm used to. I'm here because it's the only thing I know. I'm still here because I don't have the courage to take a leap of faith. I'm still doing this because I haven't trusted enough in myself that if I jump, that I'm actually going to fly. Like, there's a lot of insecurities and fears and doubts and all kinds of dysfunctions going on with us as human beings that we don't go out and seek what our purpose is. We like to, out of creature of habit, stay in our comfort zone. Some people, they start jobs when in their early teens, and some of them are still there, and they're miserable, or they're miserable and they pretend that they're not miserable. There's all kinds of different ways to deal with it. But for the most part, is you realizing that this isn't it, and then deciding that you want to seek it or search for it or find it, and then embark on that journey.
Speaking of journeys, I was just going to mention, I think right now, especially for me, because I'm so young and I haven't had that many jobs, but the few jobs that I have had, and I realized maybe that wasn't my purpose, they were still kind of fun. So the journey is kind of fun if you choose to see it as fun, because there's a lot of hard times where
absolutely
it wasn't so fun. But what I think is the most fun about it is I have a hard time doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I would take a lot of jobs that were a lot alike but also different. So I don't know if I necessarily ever see myself being put 10, 20 years in the same position. So what would
but you're in a different era now. The millennials can't sit still. They need some kind of new challenge all the time. I'm talking about, some of the old timers that started maybe at UPS when they were 16 years old, just, stacking boxes, or, putting all the equipment onto the trucks, and now maybe they're a driver, and they're now 30 years as a driver, and they don't feel fulfilled. And then they come to a point in their 30s or 40s or even 60s and say, you know what, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And then maybe as they retire, they have these dreams of, now I'm going to seek my purpose. Now that I have some money saved, I'm going to invest in a business or do whatever it is that I feel like that's been yearning in me the whole time. I just haven't been honest with myself about it and really kind of had the courage to jump out there and do that. But it could be in any business that you're in, anything that you're doing. If you don't feel like it's serving your purpose, or it's serving or fulfilling something deep and meaningful, maybe it's not your purpose. Maybe that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
So the first step, our first tip would be to do some
self-reflection. Check in with yourself and ask yourself some questions. The questions you don't normally ask yourself. What am I doing here? And do I see myself here at the end of my life? At the end of your life, when you're on your deathbed, do you want to look back and go, man, I really served it up in this field? Or, man, I feel so complete because I was able to help certain people in this field? Or, or are you looking back going, I really regret doing what I was doing. I should have been doing this, or I would have loved to have been doing that. Some of us go to our jobs because it's an end to the means. But it frees us up to be able on the weekends to maybe be in service or to do the things that we're really passionate about. But what if you close your eyes and said, if I can get paid doing anything that I wanted to, and I love doing it, and I woke up every morning excited, jumping for joy, and I'm driving there, giddy. If I can get paid doing that, what would it be? And whatever that answer is, that's most likely leading you down the road to your purpose. You just don't have the confidence that you can actually create an income out of it. That's usually what it boils down to, especially from a lot of my clients. They're like, Alex, this is what I would love doing. And then I'm like, then what are you waiting for? And they're like, I don't know if people would want it. I don't know if people would pay for it. And so the fears come in and really kind of sabotage you believing that it's possible, because you currently don't have a vision of seeing people having value in it and wanting to pay you for it. And that's part of the journey, is you deciding, no, someday somebody will, and so I'm going to embark on that journey. And from my experience, most people, 98% of the time, when they jump blindly into it and believe in it, they actually cause it to happen. They manifest the value for other people to see, but you have to see the value first, and that's the tricky part.
I think sometimes when you jump into something with no guarantee, it usually does work out, at least for me, because it kind of gives me that push, like, I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
There's no going back. I've already declared it. Everybody knows, and if I back out now, everyone's going to know I backed out.
But that's what commitment is. Commitment is you taking a step forward, burning the bridge behind you so there's no retreat. And then what it does is it forces you to figure out how to reinvent yourself to make it happen. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. People are used to, in their mind, trying to figure out first and putting all their ducks in a row and then deciding, okay, now I'm going to commit. That's not commitment. Anybody can do that. Anyone can map it out in their mind 90% and then go, all right, now I'm going to take a leap of faith. That's not a leap of faith. A leap of faith is declaring a man on the moon with no evidence, and then in 2 years you actually put a man on the moon. You know what I mean? It's like those kinds of rigorous thinking outside the box. You're making bold declarations, not knowing how you're going to get there, and then you use your passion and your commitment and the creativeness that you are and that powerful being that you are to create it every day, little steps, till all of a sudden in a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, you've manifested it. That's what powerful creation looks like. And so it's the same thing with your purpose. You have to decide what direction is it, and then head down that road.
So once I've acknowledged that the things that I'm doing now, the job that I have now, isn't necessarily what I would call my purpose, what's next? How do I figure out what it is I'm passionate about?
Well, the next thing is creating a vision, sitting down with somebody and going over what is a vision? What do you want? What gets you excited? What does your soul yearn for? When you go do certain things, activities, what's the one art thing, piece that you do that you love, that you get lost in? I love photography. When I'm in the dark room, I can get lost for hours, or when I'm behind the video camera. Okay, so that's most likely what you're passionate about. So just starting to take an account of what are the things that you love doing. Just write a list, all the top 100 things I love doing, and just start going down and start writing and writing and writing. And that could be a one-nighter, that could be a weekend, that could be a 2-month process, it could be a year process. But getting clarity about what is it that you love and you enjoy doing, and then start writing them down. But it takes a commitment. It takes there's got to be a drive inside of you to go down that road and start embarking on that journey. And then what you do is then you want to start now categorizing them. Start putting the ones that are really singing to you, that got your knee shaking, you want to put them at the top. So now you've narrowed down to the top 10 things. As you start to do this process, you start to get clarity about what the top 3 things are to the top 1 thing. You start narrowing things out. You start kind of like sifting through the things that are I would enjoy this, but it's not my purpose. I would enjoy that, but it's not my purpose. So you have to just get clear about what that is and start going down that road.
Well, and sometimes too, even if you narrow it down to the top 5 things, maybe it could be kind of fun to try those 5 things and figure it out. I mean, you can look at a piece of paper and say, oh, maybe I don't want to do this, but maybe if you try it, you do want to do it. So I think that could be kind of fun, especially.
I would suggest you jump into all 10. Whatever that list of 10 is, I would say go for it. When you and your sister were little, and even now, I tell you guys, look, right now is the time when you should be trying everything. Now that you're still at home and we're still supporting you guys, somewhat to some degree to get you up and lifted up so you can take off on your own, try everything. As a teenager, man, you should be trying all kinds of things. You should take acting classes, singing classes, take automotive repair. You should do, volunteer, do some kind of, community service. You should be out there doing mentorships and doing free interns. And you should be doing all kinds of different things to test to see what it is that piques your curiosity. You'll never know what's going to go, oh man, this is what I love to do. And maybe it's on your list of 10, it's at number 8. And all of a sudden you go and do it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And you wake up one day and you go, this is it. This is where I want to spend the rest of my life, in this field.
Yeah. And sometimes things look good on paper. So let's say something's number 1, we might actually end up not really liking it that
That's
much. That's
right.
what I love
That's
about
right.
trying these
Yeah.
things out. We'll talk more about it after the break. Stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.